Con las grandes ofertas de Prime Big Deal Days este 7 y 8 de octubre, la grandeza está en tus manos. Así que si te encanta hornear, puedes conseguir una oferta en una nueva batidora de pie. Te transformará en el príncipe del pan.
¡Atención, atención! Abre paso al varón del brioche, al visconde del bizcocho y al conde de los cuernitos, miembro de Prime, Juan.
Sí, ¿hola?
Aprovecha hasta 40% de descuento en Prime Big Deal Days 7 y 8 de octubre. En Prime Big Deal Days este 7 y 8 de octubre, aprovecha grandes ofertas en un nuevo spa de pies. Te transformará en la reina de la relajación.
¡Espera! ¡Tiene chorros de burbujas!
Aprovecha hasta 40% menos en Prime Big Deal Days 7 y 8 de octubre.
They got Willa. They got my daughter. I need to find her.
From acclaimed director Paul Thomas Anderson.
You can save that girl.
Today, experience what is being called the best movie of the year.
This is the end of the line. Not for you.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Tiana Taylor, Chase Infinity.
Let's go! Here I am.
One battle after another, now playing only in theaters. Experience it in IMAX. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
You can't hide.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn and welcome to How We're the Podcast, and you joined us straight after the final whistle as Sunderland have won at the City Ground and beaten Nottingham Forest 1-0 as I predicted. I thought I would just get that in from the off, and we are sitting pretty in third in the Premier League. Just before we recorded there, Andrew booted up the table and went, "Are we third in the table?" And yes, we are, Andrew. We are third in the Premier League. And as I have two very happy gentlemen to talk through it all. And first up is Gavin Henderson. All right, Gav?
It's an absolute piece of piss, the Premier League. Who said it was hard? Who said it was hard? Bring it on, man. Oh, that was great, man. I can't wait to talk about this.
There's Gav's quote from me, isn't it? Who said it was hard? Who said it was hard? Finished 17th on the last day of the season.
I'll take 17th.
I mean, Gav, we're going back to Reedy's days, aren't we? Third in the Premier League?
Oh, mate, that was just hard. But tell you what, we'll get into it. Bloody hard to watch at times, but what a team, man! We just are so blessed to have some of these players. I cannot wait to talk about. Yes, this is as good as it's felt since them days, mate. 100%.
Yeah, I need to introduce my second guest, and you've already touched on him just before we recorded. He mentioned Sunderland were third in the Premier League table. I might say that once or twice on this pod, to be honest. Just like we said options on the preview pod, we might say third in the Premier League on this pod. And Andrew, you said third in the Premier League. You also said Alderete has a massive cock and balls, and that's the way this podcast's going to start. I mean, third in the Premier League, Andrew. I mean,
we've all got big balls
up there, haven't we?
Right, I've raced home to get onto this podcast to do you a favour, and you've dropped me right in it. That was said in confidence. I just wondered. It was the way the floodlights were shining. I just thought, hang on, is this fella like just the complete package? Literally, he's a brilliant defender. He's scoring goals. He's a good-looking lad, and But yes, we're third. It looks good, and Chris, to give you your due, not only did you predict a 1-0 win, I'm pretty sure you said it would either be Michele or Alderete that would score. So,
to be fair, I'll give that to Gav. Gav said that first, and I jumped on the Gavin Henderson bandwagon.
Fair dues. Fair play, Gav.
Yeah.
No, thank you. But by the way, everyone keeps getting attributed with my good takes. This is about the third or fourth time that's happened this week. Nobody ever says Gav made a good point. Gav made a good point. No, it was Martin, it was Chris, it was Andrew.
Nobody thinks that you keep coming out with them, so people think, "Oh, it must be someone else." Well, look, just quickly, because we talked about it so much on the preview pod. Looking at the actual team he put in place, he kept Rig in because we were debating what he'd do there, and Lefebvre kept his place out wide. But Masuaku came in, Gav, and. What do you think? First half, do you think he kind of got into the game and grew into the game?
He had his moments. I think obviously got booked, didn't he? and that was a really silly, pointless foul which he made to get booked. But I think in possession he was really good. I think he helped us get forward well. I think as a team, to be honest, for the majority of the game, we were under pressure when we did have the ball. We looked after it. It was maybe later in the game as we tired where we didn't, but Masuaku had a part to play in that. And actually, if you watch the goal back, it was Masuaku blocking off Alderete's runner to allow him the space to be free. So I would say as a defence, kind of what I predicted really when I said I wasn't too keen on him playing, because all we'd heard about from West Ham fans was, yeah, he's great going forward, but he's not particularly great defensively. I think we saw elements of that, but I will let him off because I think he played his part in the goal. He didn't have a bad game at all. He probably had a pretty average game, and that was his first start in the Premier League for us. So, hopefully he's only going to get better, but it was a big call. And I will just point out on that note that I think Regis Labrise listens to me, because I was the one who says Hume left back, Troy right back. We did go for that for about 10 minutes and it wasn't working, but, I'll have it. At least I called it.
Well, I think he listened to us for everything. He put Hume there. He went 5 at the back. He kind of listened to everything we went through, to be honest. But
he gets all the credit for our. Yes, he's like, I wonder what Gavin, Chris, and Andrew are saying on the pod. I'll have to make sure I listen.
I very much doubt it, to be honest.
Gav, he'll be interviewed on Match of the Day tonight, and he'll not credit you. He'll say it was what I was listening to Chris, and what Chris recommended.
I was listening to the pod, and Johnny Holly, he said something interesting. Yes.
Well, I didn't know our manager was Welsh, but Andrew. Looking at I thought we'd have to ride out the first 20 minutes, half an hour, and I thought we'd be really under the cosh. But even though, they had 5-minute spells where they pinned us in a little bit, but I wasn't. We didn't have the kind of, almost the Alamo. I was expecting Forest to be kind of bombarding us, but never really happened in the early stages, did it?
No, it was a pretty even start. And we probably had. It wasn't high on goal mouth action, but we probably had the slight edge in terms of decent shots on goal. You're right. We were all thinking, they're going to absolutely hammer us in those first few minutes and come at us like a train. But no, I wasn't too worried. It was only in the second half, Chris, that they had a couple of spells. But even then, I don't know. We looked all right, I thought.
Yeah. Well, this is it, Gav, isn't it? Because if you talked about possession and territory, those stats in that first half where they pretty much had all of that, but we're getting so good. It's almost like, when you were young and you had like an older brother or an older lad or something, they put their kind of hand on their head and people were just trying to like punch and they just couldn't reach. It was almost like that we just basically held Forest off. And as much as it was almost like, well, you can have as much territory and possession as you want, but, we're not going to let you have a shot within this 18-yard box and you're going to have to work hard for it.
Well, that's kind of the philosophy of the team, isn't it? I think when you're accepting that you're going to go away, or even at home at times, you're going to be without the ball for large periods, you become comfortable at not having the ball and you become comfortable when you're under pressure. And I think that's exactly what we've seen repeatedly from this team, and not just this season, Chris, last season. And when you consider 3 of the players who were in the team today were from last season's team, it's virtually a fully changed team. It's something that's in the coaching, it's in the philosophy, it's in the way that the players are spoken to every single day, that when we don't have the ball, it doesn't mean you have to panic. And while I'm sat on my sofa looking through my fingers at times tonight and biting my fingernails off down to the nub, the players weren't. The manager wasn't. It all felt very, very deliberate. And we talked about it before the game. I think we kind of expected Forest to dominate the ball because that's the way that Postecoglou likes his teams to play. And I said it on the preview with yous, it did feel like a styles clash. It felt like we were ultimately going to set up in a way that would be most frustrating to Forest. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah, we'll get into it, I'm sure, when we talk about some of their chances and what have you. We did get a bit lucky at times. But for the majority of it, actually, we just did our jobs. And that was evident, I would say, at the book end of the game, at the start of it and at the very end of it. I think you saw Sunderland, despite being under pressure at times, not necessarily uncomfortable. And it's so pleasant to watch, isn't it? Because, like I say, I'm sitting there expecting the worst to happen, but the players, they're just they're so good at what they do. Like, that's the thing, isn't it? We keep talking about it. Some of these lads we've bought are proper quality footballers, and having to defend for large swathes of games, I think they enjoy it more than anything. They're not panicking about it. I think that you get some players, don't you, who just don't enjoy having to do that job. And I think we've just built a team full of players who love it. And it's so thrilling to watch at times when the game plays out the way it did for us.
Yeah, just on that, Andrew, I mean, we'll get into the incidents, but I want to just focus on that first half an hour in terms of what Gav was talking about. But we seem so structured and organised now that first half hour, as much as Forest wanted to attack us, it was, like I said, we even watching it, and we'll talk, maybe the later stages were different, but certainly that first half an hour, I didn't feel threatened by Forest at all, purely because of the way we were playing.
No, you're right. I mean, yes, towards the end of the game it changed, but it was always going to be that way. Any team in the Premier League who are losing 1-0 at home are going to start throwing the kitchen sink at you. But yeah, when it was even, when it was 0-0, our game plan was just perfect and the players stuck to it. And Gav, you mentioned there was times when you were watching the game through your fingers almost. I think that was just purely because you're invested and supporting Sunderland. I don't think a neutral would have watched that game and necessarily thought, oh, Sunderland are living dangerously here. There was a lot of times when Forest were looking short of ideas, or they were just putting balls in the box and we were getting our head to it. So, you sometimes see a team wins 1-0 away from home, particularly a team that weren't fancied to win the game, and you assume, oh, they've been under the cosh. I don't think we were necessarily. It wasn't like a complete smash and grab, put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it all kind of started in terms of the incidents and it was 35 minutes, and I just wanted to kind of rewind back a little bit from the main incident that we'll come on to. But it all started actually with Roefs with the ball, and we'll talk about Roefs a lot more in this when we come on to the second half. But just on this, his distribution, I thought throughout the whole game was unbelievable. Now, this one on 35 minutes, if you watch, he basically sucks Forest in, and he whips the ball right through the middle into Sadiqi's feet. And then Sadiqi charges at them, and then a few things happen in between. But that's what ends up with the foul that gives us the free kick for the goal. Now, just to come on to that, Gav, that incident for the goal, it was a strange one, and I can see where the referee's coming from. I think if it was at the Stadium of Light and that happens, we are screaming for the opposite happened. But to be fair, I mean the analysis at half time said that they couldn't see contact. So can you see what other option did the referee have if he thought there was no contact and a player went down like that?
Well, if it was in the box and it was a player appealing for a penalty and there was no contact, he would be probably booked for diving, wouldn't he? So I like consistency, and we don't see it enough, and maybe that's why it was weird, because you just don't really see it that often from referees in terms of giving a consistent decision, like in an area of a pitch where they wouldn't ordinarily give that kind of decision, but they really should, because if it's a foul in the penalty area or a dive in the penalty area, it's a foul everywhere else on the pitch, in my opinion. A foul's a foul. It shouldn't matter where it is. And the same goes for simulation. And he doesn't touch him. And the way he pulls his foot out, and the way that the referee kind of almost gave himself whiplash to turn round makes me wonder if the player shouted something as well. And they did kind of they did bring that up on the TV as well. I think they mentioned it could have been dissent. I'm not sure. Obviously, we're reacting to this very quickly. I haven't even heard the analysis at the end of the game. But the referee was pretty sure in what he did. And I kind of applaud it, because I've said this a couple of times in recent weeks. I actually thought that the ref last week was poor, but there's been a few occasions in recent weeks where I've actually turned around and actually the referee deserves credit for that. And I think you're right. Maybe if that had went the other way, we might be complaining about it. But I think at the end of it, we would turn around and go, actually, he has dived there. I mean, how many times last season did we watch Wilson Isidore chuck himself to the floor for no reason and then come on this podcast and say, what's he doing? Why is he doing that? It's embarrassing. He's giving away free kicks, diving when he shouldn't be. And look, it's just I think it's commendable and fair play to the referee for actually showing a bit of balls. It would have been, you've got to admit as well, Chris, very tough to referee when it's the home team who aren't getting the decisions. You know, he didn't really make it about himself as much as I think the Forest fan. I'm sure Ange Postecoglou, to take some of the pressure and the blame off his players, is going to mention the officiating. But I think the referee did a cracking job, and I'm not being biased in that because my team came out on the better end of it. I think that was one of many good decisions he made through the game.
Yeah, I've got a theory about that, why he pulled out the yellow card, because I think when the player Dominguez threw himself to the floor, if you watch him, he actually kind of looks up, you know, like a little kid does, you know, when they go down pretending like that they're hurt or something like that, and they look up, they have a cheeky look up from behind their hands. He did that, and I think the referee, once he'd done that, the referee went, right, I'm going to do you here. But Andrew, what was your take on that? Because, you know, there's a lot of referees who would see that challenge and just say, well, your punishment is you're not getting a free kick and I'm going to play on.
Well, a bit like Gav alluded to, the question shouldn't be, why's the referee done that? It should be, why are referees not doing that in every other game? It's quite clear it was a dive, so I don't see why there should be any controversy around it. The referee has tools in place to try and restrict that and deter players from doing it, and he's done that. Yeah, as Gav says, we're all a bit up a height, and we haven't really had chance to look back on the analysis. So I'm kind of going from it almost from memory. But to me, the guy's made a really poor attempt to con the referee, and he's been pulled up for it. Had that then not led to a goal, I don't think Forest fans would have complained. It's just the fact that they were daft enough to switch off and let us score from it. That's not Sunderland's problem, and that's not the referee's problem.
Yeah. Well, just getting into that, Gav, because it was a Xhaka free kick, which is his third assist of the season in 6 games, which is pretty impressive. Which also shows how much we're relying on his dead balls and from set pieces. But a great run to the back post by Alderete, and you've already mentioned Masuaku blocking a player on the way, which I was slightly concerned about when the VAR check came up. But it was a great header. But from a Forest point of view, you saw Chris Wood at the back stick, and there was like 3 of them at the back post who were just marking nobody.
Well, I think Chris Wood had a night to forget, didn't he, in terms of heading the ball? So, but we might get onto that. Yeah, I mean, a number of things have to happen for you to score a goal. There needs to be a lapse in concentration. There needs to be a bit of fortune. Everybody has to know their job. We've talked about this quite a lot recently, Chris. Set pieces are a real part of what we do now, and all of that was planned and orchestrated. When you've got a player of Xhaka's ability whipping the ball over the top, though, it must make it easy for the defenders. But it's just another result of fantastic coaching. We can talk all night about how organised we are, and that's been on show in virtually every game this season. But you've also got to talk about how well drilled we are on set pieces. And yeah, it's not like I actually think if you're watching it in real time, you're probably going, what the hell? Why is Alderete completely unmarked there? But it wasn't until they slowed it down and you see Masuaku, and I think it might be Mukiele also the back post, and both doing a job of just blocking people off, and it allows them that free run round the back. But if the ball's not good, all of that doesn't matter really. The keeper probably just collects it, and that's that. So there are several people who deserve credit. There's Xhaka for obviously the ball. There's I think Mukiele and definitely Masuaku for the blocking and the defensive work, and then Alderete for being aggressive, because as well he could have just nodded that back across goal, and if one of the other lads had knocked it in and been offside, it gets ruled out. He just thought, nah, sod it, and it was poor by the keeper as well, by the way, because it goes through him. But Alderete, all he can do is attack the ball, and we've seen that aggression from him on plenty of occasions this season. He's we'll save the sort of fawning over Alderete for the more detailed pods that we're going to have through the week. But what a find he's been, and he's been threatening a goal like that. And I said it on the preview, didn't I? I said I really did fancy him and Mukiele to get a goal because he's just a big threat on set pieces. I mean, we talk a lot about Ballard, but Alderete is just as threatening at the minute, and really deserved the goal because he made it happen.
Yeah. Andrew, I mean, look, it's our first away goal of the season, first goal before the hour mark, I think, as well. Certainly in the first half. But yeah, I mean, again, it points to the fact that we're going to rely so heavily on set pieces. But did you think the Masuaku incident, if you like, do you think that was actually part of the plan? Do you think we kind of plan it like that to give people a bit of space like that?
Yeah, I think we do. The club have brought in somebody, a coach, and sadly his name escapes me.
From Charlton, wasn't he?
That does. We've definitely brought somebody in from Charlton. Yeah. So yeah, they are obviously spending time on it and coming up with these ideas. I was a little bit shocked because I wasn't expecting the ball to go into that area. I thought everybody seemed to be crowding a little bit more centrally, and Jack then just pinged it slightly wider than I anticipated. And I think that's maybe caught Forest out as well. But I think we prepare so well that it has to have been part of the routine. Defenders are up there. They've got a physical presence. They're not all going to be able to get their head on the ball, but they can at least make it easier for their teammates to do so. And just repeating myself, I do think that was intended, and it's credit to everybody for the effort that's going in at the Academy of Light at the moment.
Yeah.
Did my card go through?
Oh no.
Your small business depends on its internet, so switch to Verizon Business. And you can get LTE business internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data for unlimited business.
There we go.
Get the internet you need at the price you want. Verizon Business. Starting price for LTE business internet, 25 megabits per second, unlimited data plan with select Verizon Business smartphone plan savings. Terms apply.
Anyone can follow. It takes something special to be an original, which is why the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV arrives with new ways of surrounding you in luxury, including the ultra-wide 48-inch panoramic display and the multi-sensory Lincoln Rejuvenate experience. A true original never stops evolving. So meet the 2025 Navigator, the original that's all new and better than ever. Learn more at Lincoln.com. Lincoln and Navigator are trademarks of Ford or its affiliates.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
And Gav, just very quickly on that first half performance, just because I kind of thought it was very much like Palace. And again, I think this is the blueprint of our away performance, certainly in that first half. But you look at the stats at half-time, 65% possession for Forest, and they didn't have a shot on target. Now, you've got to be a good side if you go to a good Premier League side. Forest are a really good side going forward. To restrict them to no shots on target when they've got 65% possession is impressive.
Unbelievable, yeah. And you've seen some of the players that they brought off the bench too. So, they started the game with an attack that probably cost, Jesus, I don't know, Bakwa was 20-odd million, wasn't he? McAtee, 40 million. I might be wrong with that. And Doy, 20-odd, 30-odd million. Chris Wood, I think they paid like 20 million from the Mags for him. Then you look at the bench, Hudson-Odoi I'm sure he was 40 million. Gibbs White, who I think they paid 50 or 64, didn't they? And there's others. Igor Jesus, Omari Hutchinson was 40-odd million. Callum Uendo, I don't know what they paid for him, but the point being, they had some serious attacking talent to call upon. And once again, that resilient back line just held up, didn't it? It was fabulous. What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at me for?
Well, it's funny. No, I was not laughing at you. I was laughing at something that our manager said in his press conference. He said price isn't connected to quality.
Well, well, perhaps you're right, yeah. And perhaps he's right even. But we keep talking about this. Aston Villa last week was the same. So much quality players. They brought on Harvey Elliott and Jadon Sancho and couldn't find a way through us. I think because we're so well versed in what to expect, and we've went out and signed a certain profile of footballer to try and to get through games. I mean, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't surprise us that we are so good at doing that. But yeah, I think you've got to credit us for the way that we just seem to be facing these teams without fear. There's no fear in the Sunderland team whatsoever. There are no jitters about being a newly promoted team. And I keep saying it, there are no scars like what we carry as Sunderland fans. They do not give a shit about what happened 10 years ago when we were in the Premier League. None of them were here. None of them care about it. They might have heard about it, but I'm sure they could not give a shite. And that is really important to the way that things are playing out. And the manager's the same. I mean, I just love that defence. I can't remember who said it now, but I can't remember who it was now, but somebody said it was right at the start of this process when Kirill, might have even been before when Kirill came around. And it was like talking about identity. And we've talked about loads, emulating the likes of Brighton and Brentford in particular and Bournemouth. But Sunderland's identity is not their identity. Like Sunderland playing teams off the park is not our identity. Our fans love that. What we got today, what we got against Brentford, what we got against West Ham. Proper smash mouth, get stuck in, hoy yourself at the ball, throw yourself in the way of shots, goalkeeper who's authoritative and aggressive, midfield players who cover every blade of grass. That's our identity, and that's what you're seeing ultimately on the pitch. We've built such a strong unit, and I tell you what, teams doing their analysis at the start of Sunderland season, nobody's going to want to play us. Why would you want to play that? Because we're almost being, it's like, however, then have a go at us, try and break us down. You can't do it. And it's so good to watching it. I'm coming away now and it's just like, you've got a fag on and your feet up on the desk and, a beer in hand and you're just like, this is all feels like a bonus. It's so good. I really just want to sit here and just talk about how thrilled I am by all this, but people listen and you two will be the same as me. Like it's still dreamland at the minute, isn't it? And the performances feed into that. The defending. Can I just say as well, by the way, since I'm on one, how has the rest of England slept on Alderete and Mukiele? They're not young men. They're 27, 28-year-old, aren't they? How's nobody picked them up before now? They're absolutely brilliant. They're both outstanding footballers. Is there anything they can't do? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I can't believe that they've got to that age and nobody else in England's picked them up. But tell you what, there's going to be teams looking at us now and asking the same questions to the scouts, going, I've been watching this Sunderland team start the season. How did they get that centre-half for 10 million quid and we've just spent 40, 50 million on blah, blah, blah? There's going to be a lot of them conversations too.
Yeah, and a penny for Ruben Amorim's thoughts at the minute for their next game. But Andrew, just looking at that second half, like the first 20 minutes, I thought for the first 10 minutes of the second half, we were the better side. But from 55 minutes to 65 minutes, Forest had 83% of possession in that 10-minute spell. And you know what? Again, we limited them to next to nothing. Now, it's just going back to these sort of players that Gav was talking about, those midfielders that are sticking their foot in, hunting impacts, and that we're just basically just so organised in covering the space that the likes of Forest just couldn't break us down.
Exactly. And possession can be an odd stat because you can use it to tell whatever story you want to tell. Forest did have a lot of good possession, but they weren't getting in behind us or picking holes because, as you say, we were working together as a unit, and when we needed to make the tackle or the block or pinch the ball, we were in the right place to do it. I think, the first 10 minutes after the half-time break, people probably expected Sunderland to be all kind of backs to the wall. But you're right, for that first 10 minutes, I wouldn't have been surprised if we'd scored a second one. There was then that stat that flashed up on the screen saying Forest Were they the only team in the Premier League not to have scored after 61 minutes? It was something along those lines. And of course, the pessimistic side of you comes out and thinks, oh, Villa broke their scoring duck last week. We're gonna give them a hand again. But I don't think Forest ever really started getting chances on goal until we gave the ball away.
Yeah.
Apologies if I got this right, but I feel it was Trey Hume tried to pass the ball out and it got closed down.
Yeah.
It was only after that when we had a couple of minutes where they were actually testing Roefs and you thought, oh, hang on, we might have a bit of a problem here. But yeah, we were happy for them to have the ball for the most part because we were comfortable that we knew how to deal with it.
Well, Andrew's just mentioned him there, Gav, so it's worth coming on to Roefs because, as he said, I think in the last 20 minutes we tired. We made a couple of changes, which meant we got deeper and deeper, which is kind of natural in a game like this when you're holding on to all 3 points away from home in the Premier League. But again, Andrew touched on it there, Gav, that I think that they still were only able to create half chances as much as I think Roef made some fantastic saves. I still think that one of the most impressive things that he's got in his locker is he's able to come out and claim a ball from crosses and not just punch it, not just palm it, not get something on it. I mean, he claims them, holds onto it, and gives us a second to breathe and get out. But again, I mean, other than I think if you take the Chris Wood header out, that chance at the back post, I think we've limited Forest to half chances, and Roefs is just. Roefs has just done his thing, hasn't he? Because, I mean, again, you talked about the central defenders, but what a find he is.
As I said with Mukiele and as I said with Alderete, is there anything he can't do? He can do just about everything, can't he? His ability to find people with long passes, the coming out and claiming of the ball, concentration, staying switched on when the other team are coming at us. I'm yet to find a flaw in Robin Roefs' game, if I'm honest. I know he could have done better for the goal last week, but I wouldn't say there was an obvious flaw that I could pick in his sort of all round makeup as a goalkeeper that led to that goal. It was just a series of things where it's an all round 90-minute performance. That's what you get just about everything out of him. And I can't think of many keepers that I've seen at Sunderland, and we've had some good keepers, but I can't think of many goalkeepers who I could say that about, who genuinely can do just about everything. But there was a couple of moments where you had, like on set pieces, where you had big lads backing into Roefs to try and stop him from doing his job, and he almost meets them with the same level of aggression, which I'm not going to pick on Patterson, but any goalkeeper sort of in the Championship, you're not going to see many keepers at that level who can do that. Roefs will go in with his knees up and his elbows showing and everything. He's not bothered, like absolutely not bothered. But I don't know what else there is to say about Robin Roefs other than to say something which I've said repeatedly this season. Can you believe that he's played one full season of senior football? It's remarkable that he's that good. You would watch him and he doesn't look 22-year-old for a start. I would say he looks a lot older. But you watch him and you're like, you have to rub your eyes and pinch yourself. You're like, what? He's played one season of senior football. And it was in a pretty nondescript team in the Dutch league. It wasn't in Serie A or the Premier League or the Bundesliga. It was for a team in the Eredivisie. He probably played in front of 10,000 fans. You know what I mean? He had a very mild introduction to life. He's been thrown into the bear pit, playing Premier League football for Sunderland in front of 40,000 fans, going away from home and playing in front of some pretty hostile fan bases as we have already. And he's just got better and better. Like that today was his best performance for me all round, because I know he's had some good showings in terms of keeping the ball out of his net, Chris, but I don't think I've seen him play the ball that well out. Like some of the passing, sumptuous. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get too carried away with much, but I can't help it with him. Like I'm watching and I just yeah. There's a lot of that on this tonight, and we've come away from that just buzzing. Like and he was I know Granit Xhaka got man the match, and he was unbelievable. He was brilliant. Sky gave him man the match, but for me, it was Robin Roofs. I think he was the difference.
You've nicked Johnny's catchphrase, sumptuous, but Andrew, I mean, just on Roofs, I mean, again, 22 years old. We're running out of words to describe him. But, having said that, and again, his distribution and taking the ball from crosses was unbelievable. But having said that, I just think we've talked about big moments in this game, and we have to kind of admit that moment with Chris Wood at the back post was a big moment that 9 times out of 10 he's going to stick that in the back of the net. And at the moment, those big moments are going for us, aren't they?
They are. It's a bit of a cliche, though. You earn a bit of luck, and we've worked hard. And what's to say Wood hasn't snatched at that, because he can tell the pressure's on. If you're already 2 or 3-0 up and things are going easily, you probably do nod that in. Just to talk about Roofs, if I may, in general, I mean, for all we know, Wood could have got that on target, and he could have got a hand to it anyway. You don't know. Something Gav was talking about there, about how he looks really confident when there's bodies in the box and there's a bit of push and shove. There was one in the first half where the ball kind of spooned up on the 6-yard box, and he just very calmly just nudged their player out, jumped up and caught it almost like a cricket cat. It just looked so simple, but it was brilliant. And that sums him up. He isn't a goalkeeper that's doing saves for the camera. A lot of the time, the save itself is actually routine, because he's got his footwork right in the first place. He's watched the game. He's got his positioning correct. So that then makes the actual saving of the attempt so much easier. We've all got we can all think of goalkeepers who's flying around and tipping balls around the post and over the bar and that. He's not that type of keeper. He's just solid, does a job to a point where he's actually fairly almost forgettable in a weird way, because he just makes everything look routine. And there's so many players in that team where you could have this conversation about how have we picked them up. Siddiqui was running himself up and down the pitch again. He's a proper wind-up merchant. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that a club higher up the league could have taken a chance on him. And yet we've got him, we've shown him faith, we've given him this platform, and they all seem to be just grabbing it with both hands.
Yeah, and just looking at injury time though, Gav, you would expect like Forest to be peppering us and loads of chances and all this. Looking at my notes here in injury time, we had the best 2 chances. There was a half chance that fell to Ballard, and it just went over the bar at the back post from a corner or a cross. And then the other one was Gertrude going through like Neda Manua, sliding, slicing through the Nottingham Forest defence. And I thought, he's going to score a worldie here. And the keeper got to it. But to be fair, in injury time, you're thinking, well, it should be really backs against the wall. And if anyone was going to score, it was us.
By the way, that was outstanding goalkeeping, the way he came out and just made himself big, because Gertrude had made the centre-halves look silly, hadn't he? He just skipped through them. They looked lost. And you're right, Forest didn't lay a glove on us really towards the end of the game, I didn't think. Yeah, they worked it wide pretty well. But you could tell Gertrude had done his homework on Hudson-Odoi, because all he does is cuts inside on his right foot, and he just forced him inside all the time. He was like, I'm gonna force you inside to stop you going down the outside, but then make you go back across the box. And that's all that was happening. It was going out to Hudson-Odoi. He was being forced inside, which he's naturally comfortable at. But because Gertrude had him completely worked out, he was then passing it across the box. It was going back to the other side, and they just looked out of ideas. And yeah, when you get that stage in a game and you're the home team and you're losing, you start taking gambles and things like that. And I think that's what happened, really. And actually, talking about injury time, I would just like to say props to Brian Broby. I thought when he came on, held it up well. A couple of times nearly got us in behind and stuff, but he did his job when he came on. And it all kind of helped, really. I thought, even Traore and Adingra on the left-hand side, it gave Forest something to think about. Like, rather than letting them dictate the pace of the game and go, actually, we know you're going to come at us, keep bringing attacking players on. We'll bring more defensive players. We went with 2 attacking changes, which actually meant that they couldn't commit so many bodies forward, and that's just good tactical play by a fantastic manager that we've got. And actually, we managed the game out brilliantly, I thought. And then that was a lot to do with obviously the coach, obviously the players on the pitch, but a lot to do with Granit Xhaka as well. He just kept the ball quiet and just, when people were looking a bit carried away, he's barking orders, making sure that they got back into position, made sure that we didn't take any silly risks, and because you can be guilty of that, particularly when they're piling forward. And it was just game management was outstanding. Again, really, really good stuff from Sunderland.
Yeah, and we'll wrap it up. And for talking about man of the match, Andrew, Xhaka got Sky's man of the match. Gav's already mentioned him and mentioned Roefs. Would you give it to him and give us your final summary as well? Sunderland 3rd in the Premier League, 11 points from 6 as well.
Not bad, is it? Not bad at all. I think man of the match because he scored the winner. I'd go Alderete. He was his usual self in defence. I can think of a couple of shots he's charged down, but then he's got the goal as well, and he's just a handsome bastard, isn't he? He's just,
I think Andrew's fallen in love.
I am, and overall, my like kind of summary in general, Chris. I think our last 3 games were Palace, Villa, and Forest. They're all teams who last season qualified for Europe and were very handy Premier League sides. Now, I heard people saying, oh, you beat West Ham because West Ham were off colour. You beat Brentford because Brentford had a new manager and it's going to take time for him to settle in. There's not many excuses now. Sunderland are playing established Premier League teams and not just fluking their way to points. They are outthinking them, outplaying and getting results, and I just can't speak highly enough. I think we are flying at the moment, and they are a pleasure. They're a pleasure to watch, that team at the moment.
Go on then, Gav, sum us up, mate.
3rd in the table, 11 points, the best start Sunderland have ever made to a Premier League season. Let's get carried away, man.
Brilliant.
Have a bit of that. Tell you what, man, honest, this is a better start than we could have dreamed of. I know when the fixtures came out, everybody was talking about Sunderland have got a fortunate start. But I think they were looking at the first 3 games. I don't think people were looking this far ahead. I think when you, as Andrews just rightly said, we've played 3 teams there in the last 3 games who all qualified for Europe, 2 of them away. We're unbeaten in 4. We are playing well as well. It's not just by fluke. Yeah, Chris Wood should have buried that header today. Is it Pino, the Palace lad, who had that really good chance when he went through? There've been moments in games where the other team have had chances and they probably should have took them. But you make your own luck. Like, we defended so well in all of these games. We've taken the chances that we've been given. We are every bit a Premier League team and we deserve to be 3rd in the table. And we might not stop there for long, but just drink it in and relish it. You mentioned Peter Reid. You mentioned that team. This is as good as that, and it might end up being better. This is as good as we've had it for a long, long time. A long time. And some of these players are unbelievable. We've just got to enjoy it, because it was, for a long time, it wasn't enjoyable watching Sunderland. It was bloody hard. So to be sat 3rd in the Premier League, having won another game of football, you've just got to drink it in. Watch the highlights, listen to everything, watch every video, stick match of the day on, watch the 90 minutes back 50 times if you have to. Just enjoy it, because we completely deserve it. And I'm gonna happily sit down tonight watching match of the day. I can't wait.
Yeah, and that's a perfect place to end us on. Thank you very much, Gav. Cheers, mate.
No problem, Marat.
And thank you very much, Andrew. Thanks again, mate.
Brilliant. Cheers.
Yep, and as we said, Sunderland have beaten Nottingham Forest by a 0-0 at the City Ground. We are sitting 3rd in the table. I'm wondering, do we kind of look that we are 8 points above the relegation zone, or do we say we're a point clear in the Champions League places? I'm not really sure how to look at this. We're 4 points off the top. I mean, I just don't know how to look at it, but we can stare at the Premier League table at least for for 24 hours and see us sitting there in the table. So enjoy. And thanks again for everyone for listening. Of course, we'll have more reaction to the win at Nottingham Forest, either on the Roker Report website or, of course, How We're the Podcast. And there should be another one in the morning. But from us, bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Your sausage McMuffin with egg didn't change. Your receipt did. The sausage McMuffin with egg extra value meal includes a hash brown and a small coffee for just $5. Only at McDonald's for a limited time.
Prices and participation may vary.